I don't want the responsibility of being massive, and I want to be able to pivot and make art and switch everything up.
Hey, you mother, I will you up.
I love music.
Please welcome back Queens of the Stone Age.
And music has always been my way of being the utmost honest I can be.
Get your ass. You're so stupid, you'll come up here, lift him up so I can kick him in the face.
I want to be a good man, but I think last night I definitely failed at that.
You don't sound like anybody else.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
That's the point.
Yeah.
In fact, I always looked at that like, well, that's the minimum obligation, right? Is to
not sound like other folks.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Queens of the Stone
Grunge, new metal, emo. The music industry loves to put labels on rock. Easy labels that make critics feel smart. But Josh Homme never fit any of them. Not because he was a pretentious asshole, but simply because geography screwed him. He was born and raised in the California desert.
I love the desert still. Growing up there is a completely different experience.
Seattle had infrastructure. Sweaty basements where Nirvana, Soundgarden, and Mudhoney were playing every night, feeding off each other and sharpening their sound in real time. London had packed pubs where bands like My Bloody Valentine, Ride, and the Jesus and Mary Chain were forced to fight for attention every single night, refining their sound in front of live audiences. But Josh Homme didn't have any of that. No circuit, no crowd, no scene. He grew up in Palm Desert. Not the part with golf resorts and brunch mimosas, but the sunburned stretch filled by a crushing sense of isolation. He picked up guitar at age 9, and by the time most kids were learning chords off tablature books, he was learning polka. Not exactly cool, but it wired rhythm into his brain early, and that mastery of groove never left him.
I took polka lessons for 2 years.
Playing drums or what?
No, playing guitar.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How old were you?
9, till I was 11.
Why?
He was the guy that taught guitar in the desert,
Did he show you anything that stuck?
The polka.
Right. So, and was that a right-hand thing? Can you remember what?
It's just the bop of that.
Thing is, he wasn't playing to chase fame or rock stardom. In the desert, he mostly felt alone and needed connection. Music provided that.
One of the hardest things in life is to be understood, Especially when I was a kid, when I didn't know what to say, I would go in my room and play music, and I would listen to it as well, but I would play it a lot. And I also was walking around sort of to the beat of my own drummer. I was hearing sounds in my head, and I realized if I want to, I can actually play what I'm hearing. When I walk around town here, you walk at a pace, or if the windshield wipers are going, they're going in a rhythm, and I just started, the windshield wipers would go, and I would go.
When Josh Homme formed his first band in the late 80s, Palm Desert offered no traditional path forward, so the band created their own system. They packed their gear and a gas generator into trucks and drove out into the Mojave Desert to play shows off the grid. There were no promoters, no ticket sales, and no industry attention, just loud music, friends, and a space where creativity could grow without external interference. You showed up, brought your own beer, and hoped the band didn't suck.
Coming from Palm Desert is an advantage or a disadvantage? I mean, being musically isolated can make you doing better things or not? What do you think?
I think it does better things just because we didn't we weren't under any pressure to, to perform and do anything in particular. We got to do what we wanted to do and work on that for a long time before we started playing out of town.
That environment rewarded bare creativity over gimmicks. There were no stage lights or image tricks to lean on.
It has no walls at all. And so it allows you to think abstractly. To me, you gain confidence because of the expression of being yourself.
A band either brought something new or it didn't last. Scenes and trends come with expectations about how you're supposed to play, but Homme had sharpened his skills outside that system.
Yeah, I think they have a lot more, pressure to perform for promoters or record people or just whoever's, living in the area. We play outside with our friends.
And it's more cool.
Yeah, it's just with our friends. It's no big deal.
Dice che sicuramente le band di Los Angeles hanno molto...
And it worked so well for them that without changing a single thing about their sound, they eventually got a record deal.
It was a very strange moment because we didn't really do anything to get signed. We just played a couple shows outside of the desert. And that was it. And when people came to try to sign us, we were very gun shy. We thought they were trying to steal something from us, and we were unsure about it.
The 1991 debut album, Wretch, sounded raw, uneven, and brutal. Nothing was polished because nothing was decided yet. This was a band without an identity. You can hear fast, hardcore punk colliding with slow, heavy riffs that stretch songs far past convention. Everything snapped into focus with Blues for the Red Sun, released just a year later. The band slowed the tempo and leaned into weight and repetition. The guitars buzzed and rumbled, and the grooves finally locked into place. That approach quietly laid the groundwork for what later became known as stoner rock, even though they never set out to define a genre.
I think the only difference between blues and Wretch is just the progression of all of us as musicians, and that's it. I think all of us have just become. I've become a better singer. Josh has become a better guitar player. Alfredo and as well as Scott. So I think in that way, that's the only difference.
La differenza principale.
Critics loved it, and other rock bands loved it even more.
The funny thing is that the future of grunge music is now evolving from Palm Springs, California. A band named Kyuss, Kyuss, which is the album of 1992. It's called Blues for the Red Sun, and it cannot be beaten.
By the time they made Welcome to Sky Valley, the band had reached its peak. The album played like one long, unbroken statement. No clear singles, no compromises, just massive riffs, deep grooves, and a strange confidence that came from not caring whether anyone was paying attention.
To us, that's what music's about, so that's where we're sticking. We're sticking with what our sound is. We're not going to play any games and tamper with what we sound like live and change it on record.
But mainstream success didn't show up. By the time And the Circus Leaves Town came out, the band was tired and perhaps disillusioned. This record sounded much darker, tighter, and a lot more controlled. Or said differently, the band sounded bored. And inevitably, shortly after its release, they split. For a short time after that, Homme worked as a hired guitarist with Screaming Trees. An experience that clarified something important. Homme wasn't built to bring to life someone else's vision.
To me, it's got to be real for me, or I can't do it. It actually, it makes you want to get sick if it feels forced.
So he started working on a new baby of his own, a project that would become Queens of the Stone Age.
You guys are very unique in that you don't sound like anybody else.
But
Like,
that's the point.
Yeah, it is the point.
That
right?
that in fact, I always looked at that like, well, that's the minimum obligation, right? Is to not,
not sound like other folks.
Yeah, the men without hats.
When grunge was at its peak, it seemed like Homme wasn't even mentally on the same planet. Grunge was born in rainy Seattle, and it sounded like it. The whole thing revolved around pain. Heavy, muddy guitars paired with lyrics about despair, anger, and disillusionment.
I think one of the biggest reasons why a band like Nirvana appealed to such a broad audience was the fact that the band essentially looked like everyone and their friends at high school looked like.
The grunge scene rejected traditional rock stardom. Cobain dressed down, avoided theatrics, and often sabotaged his own success. It's like authenticity was measured by visible suffering. A philosophy that, back then, Homme didn't want to embrace.
I liked them back in the day, but I think I was like kind of a arrogant little shit too. I think I didn't want to admit it sometimes.
So, while grunge bands emphasized chaos, vulnerability, and self-destruction, Homme went the opposite direction and focused on control.
We were very almost militant about how we did what we did. I mean, we rehearsed 6-7 days a week for about 6, 7, 8 hours a day,
By 1996, he had formed a new band initially dubbed Gamma Ray. But that name lasted about 5 minutes once he realized a German power metal band already had it locked down. So the name changed and Queens of the Stone Age was born.
The Queens of the Stone Age.
In 1998, Queens of the Stone Age released their self-titled debut, with Homme handling most instruments and vocals in a one-man army display. The album's grooves were thick and obsessive, but with a sleek, hypnotic vibe that felt fresh.
I grew up listening to early ZZ Top. Those records blew my mind, and I listened to Hendrix first. And to me, Hendrix is the ultimate guitar player. There's two Jimmys. There's Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix, and Jimi Hendrix is the black guy who's like the light, and Jimmy Page is the white guy who's actually the dark. Right.
Queens married Homme's classic rock influences with off-kilter touches like keyboards and even maracas. Early Queens of the Stone Age gigs often featured a revolving door of players, solidifying the project as a collective built around Homme's vision. And Homme's mission was clear: no musical boundaries.
Because I think I've always looked at music this way, where it's like locks. They have these concentric circles, and at one point they all line up, and you can see through the door to the other side. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee that. If I have a song, and we have to, and those concentric circles line up, it almost feels painful or criminal not to go to the other side when you know it gets so much better there.
And when it came to his lyrics, he didn't set up a therapeutic campfire circle with his listeners like his peers in grunge did. In fact, Homme's lyrics often come shrouded in surreal imagery or sly innuendo rather than plain autobiography.
We generally don't talk about what our songs are about. No. If you can get it, get what you can from it and get into it. Like what it means to me shouldn't be the same thing it means to you. It shouldn't be that closed-ended. It should be open-ended. Like whatever you want it to be is fine with me.
Problem is, while Queens of the Stone Age didn't chase grunge fans, they didn't land anywhere else either. Metalheads wanted speed, shredding, and brute force chaos. Homme preferred groove, repetition, and control. He didn't give a shit about long-ass technical guitar solos, nor was he interested in throat-shredding screaming.
When I was growing up with music, you couldn't listen to that stuff because there was no speed metal and there was no acceptance from the punk rock crowd to listening to metal. Like, Black Sabbath is a good band, but in my day, it's like if you were into punk and you listened to Sabbath, someone's gonna beat your ass, you know? Just didn't work that way. It wasn't how it worked.
His songwriting shows restraint and structure. He cuts away the excess and focuses on repetitive riffs. He described this approach as robot rock, music stripped down to a precise and almost mechanical groove.
My thought was trance. Be like a robot. Just repeat these riffs over and over until they're like a trance.
The band's second album, Rated R, was a trippy, caustic ride through spaced-out hard rock, famously kicking off with Feel Good Hit of the Summer, a cheeky anthem that did nothing but list drugs over a brute force riff. Mega retailer Walmart freaked out, deeming the lyrics a blatant drug promo and nearly pulling the record from shelves, but controversy only pushed more sales. Suddenly, the Desert Underdogs were scoring opening slots for arena rock giants like Smashing Pumpkins and Foo Fighters. But the real breakthrough arrived with Songs for the Deaf. For this one, Dave Grohl eagerly jumped behind the drum kit to help Homme record it. Framed as a concept album about a surreal drive from LA to Joshua Tree, complete with twisted radio DJ interludes, the album felt like a hallucinogenic road trip.
I think I'm more into the risk of making something and trying to make it deliberately sound unlike all things, which has its own risk. And I value that more. So that's kind of where I'm living my risks out.
Songs for the Deaf was certified gold in 2003, propelled by hit singles No One Knows and Go With The Flow. And Homme was now hailed as the ringleader of a new movement in rock, a Palm Desert sound that inspired countless imitators. Thing is, Homme never hid behind self-loathing or fake humility. He liked loud guitars, dark jokes, and being on stage. So that's exactly who he always presented himself as.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
No performance, no guilt, just a guy fully comfortable in his own skin, making the music he actually wanted to hear.
Are you ready to cut loose?
I love music.
Everyone up on each other's shoulders. Let's cut loose, shall we?
And
are you ready?
And music has always been my way of being the utmost honest I can be.
Homme essentially exiled himself from every label, making Queens of the Stone Age a standalone island in the rock ocean. And on that island, he ruled without restraint. But in 2004, at the peak of their fame, Josh fired bassist Nick Oliveri, his longtime friend and partner in crime, amid rumors that Oliveri had been physically abusive to his girlfriend. Homme didn't paper it over with corporate PR speak. He just kicked him out and moved on, no matter how it upset some fans. Thing is, while Queens was Homme's baby, Oliveri's feral energy was a huge part of its soul. That set a tone. Josh would sacrifice even his best friend to keep his trajectory and stay true to his vision, refusing to stagnate or play nice to appease others. But while Homme was at the top, not everyone was celebrating. Case in point, the punk band Dwarves, who accused him of being a sellout who had let fame get to his head. Thing is, Dwarves had built their reputation on provocation. They were basically trolls, long before internet trolling existed. Homme, unsurprisingly, didn't engage in a long, diplomatic exchange. Instead, he went to a club where dwarves were performing and cracked the singer over the head with a bottle. That stunt earned Homme an arrest, probation, and mandatory rehab. But this wouldn't be the last time Hommes would find himself in trouble, as we'll see in a second.
All you guys look at me. I'm gonna throw all you fuckers out of here in 2 seconds. I don't give a shit. I'm not interested.
In 2005, Queens returned with Lullabies to Paralyze, the first album of the post-Oliveri era. Many wondered if Homme could maintain the magic without his trusted madman bassist. He answered with an emphatic yes, as the album debuted at number 5 on the Billboard chart.
So I think Songs for the Deaf and Rated R are better records, but that doesn't take away from the fun and the quality craftsmanship that this record presents. Lots of haunting tunes covered in fuzzy guitar riffs and almost solos at times that don't seem to fit, but they end up fitting.
The record dived into eerie fairy tale vibes inspired by the stories from the Grimm's brothers, but without losing Queen's trademark swagger.
I love fairy tale images and dark candlelit images and stuff like that. And
it also featured legendary guitarist Billy Gibbons on a track, one of many instances showing Homme's knack for attracting iconic collaborators.
if I'm being 100% honest, I got to ask people that I was really fans of, that were my peers. I got to perform with people that I was a fan of.
Yet, as commanding as Homme was in his own band, he never stayed confined to one project. If anything, the latter 2000s saw him scatter his talents in every direction like a man possessed, as if no idea was off limits.
If you have a good idea, 99% of the people will tell you it's awful. That's how you know it's good.
First off, Homme doubled down on the Palm Desert Jam ethos that birthed Queens in the first place. He had started an informal series called The Desert Sessions back in 1997. Low-pressure recordings where musicians could play for the sake of music with no industry suits watching.
And so the idea being, I'll take people that I do know, and maybe they know each other, but maybe they don't know each other. And then I'll also invite someone I myself do not know. And I'll say, I'm not asking you to be in a band forever. I'm asking you to make music tonight, or for 3 days. And I'll take you to a secluded place where the outside world will not encroach. It has no reach, The long arm of Los Angeles, or the rest of the world for that matter, especially in Joshua Tree in 1996, had no reach. It wasn't there, Yeah. And again, this is pre-cell phone. You were quite isolated out there.
Through the years, Desert Sessions brought together players from Monster Magnet to PJ Harvey, all conjuring music on the spot in the desert haze.
I think of it almost like the same way Reese's Pieces were made. Someone had chocolate, someone had peanut butter, but thank God for the gal who said, let's put them together.
Truth is, Homme's side hustles were practically a whole career in themselves. In 1998, fresh off Queen's formation, Homme and his longtime buddy Jesse Hughes formed the cheekily titled group Eagles of Death Metal.
And with Eagles of Death Metal, for someone who wasn't alive at the time when the first album came out, Peace, Love and Death Metal, I'm curious, for you as the musician who's going to be putting this out to the fans who are fans of Kyuss and Queen's Stone Age, how did you feel about giving to this community this really kind of weird melting pot where it is kind of strange, and for anybody who's thinking, oh, death metal, it's not very death metal-y.
Well, clearly we weren't thinking ahead because
Yeah.
it's funny how much the name Eagles of Death Metal has hindered us over the years, because people naturally, if the word death is in it, then it's funny how many times someone said no, and you say no, this is like dance music that win a Rolling Stones T-shirt. That I don't know, it's like it's dance rock and roll basically.
I'm so pleased to be with you today.
And in 2009, Homme had basically achieved rock fan bingo by teaming up with legends from two different generations, as he formed supergroup Them Crooked Vultures with Dave Grohl and Led Zeppelin bassist John Paul Jones.
It's amazing to think and conceptualize and pontificate, I don't think that's the right word, about actually how cool this band is. Go with me here. There are representatives from every rock era in this band. I'm sure that the old school has been influenced by the mid-school and the new school, and vice versa as well.
You're mid-school.
Mid-school.
You're elementary.
Well,
you're
the high school. I'm mid-school, and you're I don't know, kinder what? It is enough to melt your face.
Old junior high. What are you talking
Can you put
junior high level?
on the stage? Can you put
Their self-titled album was a 13-track jam session that somehow felt both off the cuff and monstrously tight. Even Jones, who'd seen it all, said he was blown away by how good a guitarist and writer Homme was. The chemistry was unreal, but the project was short-lived with just one album and tour.
Well, I mean, the Eagle stuff, the Desert Session stuff, Queen stuff, it's all the same stuff to me. It's more about what time frame we're in. It's all supposed to be good music. It's all supposed to come off like a really good mixtape. So I only differentiate because they end up on one record or the other, But it's all supposed to be as good as we can make it.
But back to Queens. In 2007, they released Era Vulgaris, a synth-infused, more experimental record that divided fans and was received with a lukewarm reception.
I think a few things. We have a lot of different styles of music under one roof, and I think sometimes our more introspective and mellower stuff just simply gets bowled over by loudness, the other louder stuff at times. But we just change what we are given the situation,
In 2008, at a festival in Norway, Josh hurled a string of insults and homophobic slurs at a disruptive fan.
Hey, you, right there. Hey, you, with the hat on. Hey, turn around, the black hair. Turn the around, you chick. Hey, you mother. I will you up. Come on up here. Come on up here, you little fat. You know what? Get your ass. You're so stupid, you'll come up here. Lift him up so I can kick him in the face. You miserable. Go back to your mom's house, you 12-year-old nerd.
This added to his reputation, where he's both celebrated and accused of being an asshole. But, like it or not, he refused to soften his edges for anyone's comfort.
What am I going to do? Go door to door and correct people's perception? Actually, what happened in 1742 was it's a waste of my time.
You can see some people who don't have.
Behind the scenes, Homme hit a serious rough patch around 2010. Allegedly, he nearly died on the operating table because of some horrible complications during a knee surgery.
I mean, without going into too much detail, I've always been very hard on myself, and took it too far, and then they lost me on an operating table, and I mean, I wish that started out in a better place, because it would be so much easier for me to talk about, but because if something sucks, I'm not like, this is awful, taste it, it's hard to share that part of your life, you know.
The surgery left him bedridden for months, fighting a nasty infection, and plunged into a dark depression, even questioning if he wanted to continue making music. For someone who had built his entire identity around being creative and a little eccentric, the fact that he almost gave up on making music gives us an insight on how dire his emotional state was. But Homme didn't stay down for long.
You know, I had a little heartache, and I had a little of this and a little of that. But I've never learned so much so quickly. And so I'm sort of thankful for it all at the end.
So he dragged himself back up. And in 2013, he returned with Like Clockwork, an album that debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts.
This is easily their most ambitious sounding album to date. It is definitely a different type of album for them, with so much mood and more atmosphere than anything they had done before. This feels like Queens of the Stone Age doing like a David Bowie album, full on. In any case, best production, most mature songwriting, just a haunting, stunning album from start to finish with another tight 46-minute runtime. Yeah, I'm putting this at perfection. It may well be my favorite. If you've slept on this or somehow have still not listened to it, please go listen to it again.
Like Clockwork is easily the most introspective record Homme had ever made. The songs stare directly at mortality, at isolation, at what it feels like to sit alone with your thoughts when your body and mind have both been pushed to the limit.
You know, the music is a diary of your life, you know, and music is a direct reflection of what you're going through, and the most important thing is to just be honest about it and lay it all out and not worry about it. Right.
Homme invited a festival-worthy lineup to play with him on the album. Trent Reznor, Elton John, his old pals Nick Oliveri and Mark Lanigan, Alex Turner, and even his wife at the time, punk rocker Brody Dale. It was like Josh was embracing his role as a rock linchpin, finally merging all his worlds together on one record.
So I kind of look at Queens of the Stone Age as being a revolving door of collaborations, or a revolving door of musicians that come in and play on records or tour with you. Yeah. I'm just looking at the list.
It's a little bit long.
Trent Reznor, which you've worked with.
A year later, he was invited to play at the Grammys alongside his good friends Trent Reznor and Dave Grohl.
Yeah, actually, we're friends, and we've had the luxury of doing some stuff together and touring together, so it's kind of comfortable.
But their performance got cut off, allegedly due to time constraints. As you can imagine, Homme didn't take it too well. And a few days later, during a Queen's performance, he publicly sneered, "Fuck Imagine Dragons and fuck the Grammys," to a chorus of fan screams. This was proof, in case anyone needed it, that Homme would gladly burn bridges in the industry if it meant standing his ground.
How's it work with Mark Ronson then? Because, sort of in production duties for the record, that must have been quite a nice sort of new chapter in terms of...
Fucking awful. No, he's
awful.
Wonderful.
He's a terrible man.
No, he's a big music fan, you know. He will whip out his phone and, you gotta hear this.
Yeah.
And that sort of excitement is cool. He's very beat-centric, so it's all about kind of going ba-boom, ba-boom, boom all the time, and I like that too. Honesty plus boom-boom equals yes.
Okay.
For Villains, Homme made a left-field move, and he brought in pop super producer Mark Ronson. Predictably, some hard rock purists complained, but Homme didn't build his career around pleasing others.
I think you have to be willing and able to surprise yourself first, you know.
So that was the idea when you went in the studio to challenge yourself?
Yeah, I think, to defy our own expectations by way of redefining them a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Even as a fully cemented rock veteran, Homme treated comfort and formulas like a creative disease.
there's such a push to maybe copy yourself or, copy someone else, or people lose the plot, or, people are afraid to take a risk. And I think you have to encourage each other to take a risk. And the bigger the risk, sort of the bigger the reward, possibility.
The gamble paid off as the album was generally well received.
The thing about this record, Villains, is that I would place it above Era Vulgaris, which to me is their career misstep. I think it's better than 2013's Like Clockwork. I would place it alongside, not as good as, but it is close to Rated R, it's close to Lullabies to Paralyze, and it's close to Songs for the Deaf. And that's a great thing.
In December of that year, while performing allegedly drunk, he kicked a photographer's camera into her face mid-show.
Hello. Last night at a Queens of the Stone Age performance, I kicked the camera of a photographer, and that camera hit the photographer in the face, and the photographer's name was Chelsea Lauren. I'd just like to apologize to Chelsea Lauren. I don't have any excuse or reason to justify what I did. I was a total dick, and I'm truly sorry, and I hope you're okay. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and last night was definitely one of them. And I apologize for that to you.
That same night, he also cut his own forehead with a knife on stage and insulted the audience between songs.
I want to be a good man, but I think last night I definitely failed at that. And that means I failed my family and my friends as well. I don't want them to ever be ashamed or embarrassed about being around me or knowing me. And so I apologize also to my bandmates and my mom and my dad, my wife, my brother, and my kids.
And then his marriage to punk singer Brody Dale disintegrated in a mess of public accusations and legal drama. The two officially separated in 2019, and by 2021 were trading restraining orders and ugly claims in court.
So this has been ongoing for 4 years, right?
Yeah, tough.
And there's been allegations of physical, like spousal abuse stuff, which at the time hearing it, you go, oh, you kind of hope as a fan like that it's not true.
Yeah, totally.
Dale alleged Homme showed up at her house drunk and even headbutted her during an altercation. She later filed domestic violence restraining orders on behalf of their children, claiming Josh was abusive towards them, allegations Homme vehemently denied. Judges eventually denied those restraining orders, and Homme sought his own, accusing Dale's new boyfriend of harassment and painting himself as the target of a smear campaign. At the time of making this video, there are no publicly available updates on the situation. In 2023, Queens released In Times New Roman. Sonically, the album marked a return to a grittier, more stripped-down rock approach, with the production leaning less on dance grooves and more on aggressive guitars. But its significance went beyond sound. The record completed a thematic trilogy that began with Like Clockwork and continued through Villains. Taken together, the three albums reflect a broader creative and personal arc in Homme's later career.
As the fear of the unknown closes in Times New Roman only solidifies itself as yet another fantastic, dazzling in its own right, rocking Queens of the Stone Age LP. In Times New Roman, Album 8 is getting a strong 4.5 out of 5.
Around the same time, Homme revealed he had quietly undergone treatment for cancer in 2022. An ordeal he chose to keep private until he was on the mend, not wanting a pity party.
May I ask you where you are with your treatment at the moment? Are you being treated still, or are you?
I'm good. I'm all clear.
That says everything about how Homme handles life. He's never been the type to sit down and openly unpack his feelings in interviews. Instead, he processes them where he feels safest, in the music.
And my dad's always been a workaholic, and so working and he's always been like, has such a great moral compass, you know, like we should do what's right. And all I got from that was like, set aside how you feel and get involved in doing what the situation asks for to make the situation right as a whole. And then we'll deal with your emotions later. That's what I got from that, you know?
Yeah. Please welcome Queens of the Stone Age!
Public opinion on Homme remains divided. To some, he's the last of a dying breed, a real deal rock and roll outlaw in an age of sanitized pop stars. Others see a middle-aged rocker who sometimes crosses the line into being a grade A jerk, and they're not entirely wrong either. Homme himself would likely shrug at both descriptions. He instilled a sense that rock can be fun and dangerous simultaneously. He wasn't chasing radio trends. He built his own kingdom out in the Mojave and invited everyone to join. In the end, Josh Homme became a scene of one. Grunge faded. Nu metal imploded. But Homme kept on morphing and thriving. That's why to this day he's still standing as one of the few artists who is totally free to do whatever the fuck he wants. And that in itself, more than any accolade or award, is the mark of a true fucking rock star.
I'm gonna tell you that I love you 100 times a day. You'll get tired of my voice, that's how much I'm gonna tell you that I miss you.